Hope everything's going good with you today. Today we're going to have one of our nurse staffs talk to y'all about the flu. I hope y'all enjoy the video.
Hi, my name is Evangelist Williams and I'm a parish nurse. And when I am providing information, I always like to give people a little bit of my credentials so that they will know that I do provide information based on what I know and based on experience. I have been a nurse. I'm working on year 31 now. I have a bachelor's in nursing. I also have a master's, which is the concentration of healthcare education. So I believe in educating. And I have worked in a variety of areas, done pediatrics, hospital, home health, school systems. I've taught medical technology and many other things. And so I love to educate people so that they will know what is needed to keep themselves healthy. And with that being said, let's talk flu. We know that now that we're in the season of flu, and in conjunction with the flu, there is COVID-19. And so it is possible to have the flu and COVID-19 at the same time. So we're just going to talk flu right now so that you can be prepared to weather the storm with the flu. The less likelihood of you getting the flu gives you a better chance of being prepared for anything else that may come along. So we hope that with the information that I provide, that you will have at least a fighting chance of not catching the flu, or if you do get infected with the flu, that it will be of a less severity case. It will not be intense. Now, if you know anything about the flu, it is a virus, just like COVID-19 is a virus. And these are the smallest types of microbes in the body, or existent in our microbial environment. And viruses only exist to make more viruses. And the reason a lot of people don't understand about viruses is that they rely on whomever they infect, okay, to survive and reproduce. That being said, if you have a virus, whether it's a stomach virus or a flu virus or COVID-19 virus, They depend on your body to reproduce and survive. And that's why it's very difficult to treat viruses because they can't capture or store energy on themselves. They do need other hosts to be able to exist. They can't function outside of a host, which is why they're often regarded as non-living because they need somebody else to live on. And outside of a cell virus, it wraps itself into an independent particle. And what that particle does, it encapsulates itself so it can survive for a certain period of time so that it is ready to infect someone. And so when we talk about flu, basically there are 4 types of flus. There's flu A, B, C, and D. But the ones that I want to talk about is influenza A and influenza B. And these are seasonal epidemic diseases. And as you know, right now, we're in what we call the flu season. And of course, this season happens almost every year in the United States. We usually don't go through a year without having some cases of flu. And there have been some instances where we've had it a little bit earlier outside of our flu season, or had flu to last a little bit later than what we typically call the flu season. But nevertheless, it is a virus, okay? And A and B are the ones that we concentrate on. Now, the A virus is the one that causes the pandemic. And the difference between pandemic and epidemic is that if it's an epidemic, it's usually localized into a certain area. But when you're talking about pandemic, you're talking about it can go global. That's why coronavirus or COVID-19 is considered a pandemic, because it is not localized to a certain area. So A is the one that we usually know as the one that can cause a pandemic. And it is the one that we typically see as the most severe because it does travel a lot further than, the B does. Now, it is possible for you to have both A and B at the same time. Usually when we test for A and we test for B. And it will let us know if it's just positive for A or just positive for B. It can tell us if you're positive for both, or it can tell us if you're negative for both. So it is possible to have both of these types of flus. Now, what people don't understand is that if you have the flu, you can spread it to others up to 6 feet away. Does that 6 feet sound familiar? COVID-19. So what we're telling you, viruses are viruses, regardless to what type of disease that they cause. So with the flu, you can sneeze and it can affect people up to 6 feet. It is thought that flu is spread by mainly by droplets when people cough, sneeze, or talk. And these droplets can enter. You don't see them because they're so small, but these droplets can enter your nose. It can enter your mouth, and of course now you are infected with the flu. And once it enters your mouth and your nose, because either one of these are entrance into the body, basically what you do is inhale, and there the virus goes into the lungs. And so very seldom, but it can happen that you can touch something that maybe the encapsulated virus has been able to survive. But most of the time it's spread person to person. So we want to talk. So now that you know about the flu and you know that it is very similar to the coronavirus, because it is a virus and viruses work the same way regardless to what kind of disease it is causing. People with the flu are most contagious in the first 3 days after their illness began. Now, most healthy adults may be able to infect others beginning like 1 day before the symptoms develop and up to 5 to 7 days after becoming sick. So it is possible that you can infect somebody. If you're healthy, you may have the flu virus and not know it because you're not really showing a symptom, but you can infect somebody even before you get sick. Does that sound familiar? COVID-19, carriers? Okay. Again, a virus. Children or adults with weakened immune systems may pass a virus for longer than 7 days. Now, your symptoms can begin about 2 days after the virus enters the body, but again, that can range from 1 to 4 days. That means that you may be able to pass on the flu to someone else before you even know you are sick, and also while you are sick. And that is one of the reasons that we tell you, if you feel bad, you feel like you're getting sick, that's one of the reasons we say stay home, because you can pass whatever you have on to someone else. And so even whether you have symptoms or don't have symptoms, sometimes, you can still pass it to other people. And so that's why it's important to take care of yourself. It's important that you do everything that you can to minimize contacting the flu, or if you have it, lessen your intensity. A lot of things that I'm going to talk about how to prepare for the cold and flu season is basically things that we already know. We are just not used to doing them at the magnitude that is necessary to do them now. It is so important to really, really take care of yourself now, because we have had people that have COVID-19 plus they have the flu. And so you've got a virus on top of a virus. And we all know that COVID-19 is one of those diseases that can really be fatal. So one of the things, and we're going to go over a few things that you can do. Okay. One of the things that you need to do, and which I always tell my patients during this type of weather, make sure you have your medicine cabinet stocked. What I find a lot of times is that people will feel sick. They will be running a fever. They'll have a cough. They'll be congested. They have a runny nose. And they'll call me and tell me all these symptoms. And I'll say, well, what have you taken? Nothing. What you don't understand is once you get the symptoms, you need to start treating the symptoms. Because the longer the symptoms go untreated, the more likelihood that this will be a more of a severe case of flu. So stock up on your medicine cabinet. Make sure you've got stuff for fever. Make sure you've got Tylenol or acetaminophen, which is the generic. You don't have to buy the name brand. Make sure you have NSAID, ibuprofen, Aleve, Advil, Motrin, things like that. Because with body aches, those are things that really are more effective in treating your body aches. Now, if you're on a blood thinner, then of course you would not be able to take anything that contains aspirin. So then you can take a higher dose of acetaminophen. And if you look at the acetaminophen, it usually comes 325, but you can also get it at 500 milligrams. You can also get it at 650 milligrams. So stock up on those. Stock up on decongestants and antihistamines. Get you some cough drops. Get you some nasal saline. Get you some throat lozenges. And if you don't know what over-the-counter medicines that you can use, maybe you have high blood pressure, maybe you are a diabetic, maybe you had some type of autoimmune disorder, you can always ask your pharmacist. One of the things that we always use, because we have found that it can be used basically by anybody, and that is Mucinex. Mucinex is available for anybody to use, whether you have high blood pressure, whether you have heart issues, whether you have diabetes. That medicine can be used by anyone. And so I always tell people, make sure you stock up on Mucinex. And you don't have to use the brand name. Again, the generic name is just as good. It has, because what we're looking at is the active ingredients, which is glyphosate, and also Robitussin. These are things that you can stock up on. Have those in your medicine cabinet and ready to go. And make sure above all that you have a thermometer. A lot of people will tell me, I am running a fever. I just felt hot. Well, it depends on the temperature within your home. So it's always good to have a thermometer so that you can tell me exactly what the numbers are. Because depending on the numbers, depends on how much medicine we really need to advise you to take. Okay? So just have all your medicine cabinets stocked up. If you have them already in your medicine cabinet, check the expiration date. Make sure that they are still good to take, that they have not expired. I always tell people saline. I work EMT early on in the hospital. Saline is one of the things that we always push. So I carry around a little spray thing of saline, because sometimes during the winter the air is dry, and it dries out the nasal passage, and so saline is really good for that. Saline also, if you are congested, it will break up the congestion and enable you to expel it out, and help you to be more comfortable with your breathing. Also, you need to stock up on, and everybody should have, hand sanitizers, antibacterial soap, tissue. If you don't have tissue, if you have toilet tissue, whatever. But have those things, those basic things that are necessary for you to have during this time. Because when you're sick, you're not going to feel like going out. You may not even have somebody that can bring it to you. So make sure you have all these supplies available. Make sure your thermometer has fresh batteries in it. Okay? Also, another thing that we always advise is make sure you have plenty to drink and comfort food. A lot of times when you're sick with the flu, you don't really feel like eating anything. But we do push fluids, because it is very easy to dehydrate when you have the flu. So you can stock up on Gatorade, Pedialyte, or Sprite, tea, all all those kinds of drinks that are good that will replace your electrolytes. Some people drink orange juice. I want you to be careful with orange juice if you have any kind of stomach issues. But apple juice, grape juice is really good for you, even cranberry juice. And like I said, the other drinks that we talked about, make sure you have those. Make sure you have broth, chicken noodle soup. Oh, chicken noodle soup is very reliable. So make sure you have that. Make sure you have even broth, because a lot of times you may not feel like, eating. Make sure you have crackers. That is very good, because sometimes even with the flu, your stomach feels a little funny, a little nauseated, a little upset. So make sure you have that, okay? Also, one of the things I didn't mention is make sure you have anti-diarrhea medicine, and make sure you have medicine for throwing up. You cannot buy that over the counter. And so make sure you have all of these things available for you. Make sure you have some spray for a sore throat. Although what you can do is you use really warm water with plenty of salt and gargle. That is what we always recommend when I work ENT. But now they have a lot of things on the market that you can just spray your throat if it's real sore and it numbs your throat. Make sure you have a lot of water. Bottled water is very good to have. That way you don't have to get up. You can just put it by your bedside. Herbal tea is very, very soothing. I use a lot of honey ginger tea. It's very good. And as I said, the fruit juices, they give you that extra vitamin C. So just pick up things that, that are finger things, that don't require a lot of cooking. Just something for you to nibble on when you really don't feel well. The other thing is very good hand washing. Okay, if you are in bed and don't feel like getting up, that's okay to use a hand sanitizer. But like if you get up to go to the bathroom, don't use a hand sanitizer. Use water and soap and wash real good. And make sure that when you are washing your hands that you get in between the fingers, and make sure you dry very good, dry very, very good. And if you're sick, don't touch the faucet to turn it off. Use that what you dry with, like a paper towel, to turn it off. Keep your hands from your face. I did not realize how difficult that was until we entered into the pandemic with COVID-19. It is just automatic sometimes that I will put my hand in my face. But it is very important during this time to keep your hands away from your face, because that way you do enter other things into your face, and that gives the bug another entrance into your body. So just don't keep your hands out of your face, out of your nose. Use tissue if you have to blow your nose. That's the best thing. The other thing is, and I have to advise you this as a medical professional, whether you do this or not, it is up to you. It is recommended by the CDC that you get a yearly flu vaccine. That's an important step in helping to prevent the flu. What people don't understand is that vaccines don't always prevent the disease, but hopefully it will decrease the severity of the disease. And so I know a lot of people are getting the flu, like the elderly are getting the high-risk flu for the elderly. It doesn't matter as long as you get a flu vaccine. And of course, we have already started into the season for the flu vaccine. So it is recommended that you get the flu vaccine, but again, I allow people to make that decision regarding their themselves. The other thing that we are talking about is practice healthy living habits. Okay. You want to boost your immune system, and your immune system can run down when you are sleeping, not getting enough sleep, or you're overly tired. And so you want to get enough rest so that your body can rebuild itself. You want to eat plenty of fresh foods, healthy protein. If you can't get them fresh, frozen. If you can't get them frozen, get them canned. The thing of it is that you do need to eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, lean meats like chicken and fish. You need to stay hydrated. You need to be active. You need to keep moving. Don't be a couch potato. Get plenty of rest. What people don't understand is rest allows the body to regenerate itself. It actually, when you're sleeping, the body kind of shuts down all your non-essential needs at that time, and it only runs the parts of your body that are essential, like your heart and your lungs, your kidneys, your brain. Those are essential, and so they kind of shunt all the energy and the blood flow to those places that are essential. So it is important that you get a lot of rest, and so that you can rebuild your body and eat a well-balanced diet. Also, when you're around the house, look for products that contain bleach or alcohol or pine oil, things like that, for keeping around the house clean. Sanitize your sinks, your knobs. Even if you have access to disinfectant spray even your carpet, because you're in and out of your home, or even your floors. Disinfect your floors, because this is important in reducing the amount of germs that has access to your house. And if you have pets, they're in and out using the bathroom, so you have to make sure that things are disinfected on a regular basis. The other thing is you need to make plans for sick days. If you work outside of the home, you need to make some plans for your sick days. Even if you feel like you could work, your coworkers would appreciate it if you just stay home. Don't come in and spread it to other people, okay? And, if you, some people have limited sick days, but you have to look at the advantage of staying home as opposed to going to work and trying to work through your illness. Because a lot of times I've seen people that will come into work, well, I didn't feel good, but I'm going to try and make it through the day. And then when they make it through the day, they go home, and now they're out for a week, whereas if they stayed home, they may have only had to be out 2 or 3 days to get their bodies back in shape, in a better state, so that they could come to work and be more productive. Also, be prepared for your children that get sick. Children are not small adults. They are children, and they tend to dehydrate more quickly. They can bounce back quickly, but they can get sick very quickly. Okay, and so we have to plan for those times. Don't send your kids to school sick, especially during this pandemic. Okay. and do your best to stop the spread of germs. If you're healthy, stay away from sick people as much as possible. If you have to take them something, wear a mask and give them what you need and leave. If you do get sick, know the strategies to helping yourself becoming better. Covering your mouth when you cough or sneeze, then sanitizing your hands afterwards. Don't share utensils, cups. Those things that we know to do that we really typically do not do. Protect yourself as much as possible. You have to remember that right now we are dealing with not just the flu, but we're dealing with COVID-19. And just simple things as catching the flu can develop into pneumonia if you don't take care of yourself. And let me just tell you a little bit about pneumonia. All right, when people get sick and they have congestion, if you don't treat that, okay, it just keeps building up and it goes down the respiratory tract until it gets into an area of the lungs that it just kind of plugs in. And that's why when you hear people having pneumonia, if the doctor talks to you, he says, I found this little spot in your right middle lobe, it looks like you've got a pneumonia there. And it's just a plug of mucus that has gone untreated that has been able to travel down the respiratory tract. And so the earlier you treat yourself and the better you take care of yourself, the better it is for you, for your family, for your co-workers. And I want to impress on you how important it is of taking care of yourself, especially during this pandemic. You do not want to have the flu and the COVID-19 at the same time. You don't want to have flu A and flu B at the same time. So you want to do everything you can to keep yourself healthy and, other people as well healthy around you. And the biggest thing you can do for yourself is good hygiene, good nutrition, increased activity, and plenty of rest. And if you do these things, this will help you to be healthy, or if you do have the flu, to help you to recover quickly. Always remember, whether you feel like it or not, when you are sick, drink, drink, drink. Preferably water, but you can drink other things. But whatever you do, do not stop drinking. That helps the body to rid itself of the viruses. There are medicines that you can take that a lot of doctors will give you. Some of the antiviral medicines that they give, like Tamiflu, Fluzone, these things you can get them, but a lot of times they have to be given really early in the stages of the flu, and usually it may only shorten your flu diagnosis by 2 days. So it's not that these things are going to get rid of the flu. A lot of times it may shorten the time that you have the flu. But if you don't get them in a sufficient amount of time, it is not going to work anyway. Viruses are little creatures that will stay until they're ready to leave. That is why all we do with the virus is treat the symptoms. Those little guys hang around, and when they're finished, they leave. So do what's best for you. Be vigilant, be proactive, and above all, protect yourself with good hygiene. May God bless you and stay safe.